Hi everyone, it's Andrea from Movers and Bakers. Today I want to share with you how I make the classic British biscuit custard creams. Beautiful custardy biscuits with a vanilla filling in between. They are absolutely beautiful. Let's get baking. So these are really simple and really quick and easy to make. To start with, I have some butter in my bowl here. I'm just going to give it a really quick mix just to loosen it up. There we go, just to loosen it, get it going. So to that I'm going to add my sugar. So this is regular caster sugar. If you don't have caster sugar, you can use icing sugar, but you will need to use a bit less because icing sugar ends up being a lot sweeter for the same amount of weight. But don't forget, you can find all the quantities for this recipe in the link below this video. There we go. So you want your butter to be lovely and pale and fluffy looking like that. So that's the butter and sugar mixing done. To this, I'm going to sift in some plain flour or all-purpose flour, some custard powder. Now we get this very easily here in the UK. If you live somewhere not in the UK, do go ahead and find a British store, or Amazon will be able to sell it, I'm sure. Or you may even be able to find your own version of it somewhere in a store near you. And my final ingredient, baking powder. Now, as usual, I will put all the quantities of my ingredients in a link below this video so you can find it yourself and make it for yourself as well. There we go, all done. Now we'll mix it all up together and that's our biscuit dough done. I don't know about you guys, but I love custard, but my family is actually a bit divided with it. 2 of the 4 of us love it and 2 of the 4 of us don't really like it very much. Myself and my son, we love custard. We'll have it by the bowlful, just on its own, however we get it. So just keep mixing this until it all comes together. You can see it will go a bit breadcrumby to start with, and eventually you'll see it come together into a biscuit dough. And there we go, we have a biscuit dough. So all my cookie dough is now good to be shaped however I want it to. Now, if you want to, you can absolutely roll this out and stamp out shapes. For speed and for ease, all I'm going to do is I'm going to make it into little balls and flatten them on my cookie sheet. So all I have here is a cookie sheet that I have lined with some parchment paper. You can use a silicone cookie sheet if you have one. It doesn't really matter at all. So I just make little balls into about a walnut size, and I'll just line them over my sheet. Now what I will do once I have got all of them there is I will use, you can use a fork for it, you can just flatten it completely, but to give a lovely pattern on top, I actually turn a cooling rack upside down and I use the crisscross of that. So once I've got my whole tray done, I will push it down on there and that gives a lovely pattern. Of course it will stick to the tray, so you can use your fingers or you can use a knife just to pull it off and then put it on your cookie sheet. And those, once my tray is all full, I will pop them in the oven and I'll bake them for about 10 to 15 minutes depending on my oven. And I shall see you on the other side with these cookies baked, and we shall do the next step. See you shortly. Right, my biscuits are out of the oven. They are cooling. When you are baking your biscuits, what you want to look for is for them to just start browning on the edges. And that's when you know that they're done. If you cook them too much, they become a bit dry and a bit too crumbly. So you're just looking for the color to just start changing around the edges of your biscuits before you take them out. They will, as with a lot of biscuits, they will be slightly soft when you take them out of the oven, but just transfer them to a cooling rack and let them cool completely. Once they are completely cool, we can then talk filling. So all I'm making for the filling is a very, very basic buttercream filling. So if you don't know already, it's double the amount of icing sugar to butter. So I'm going to start with some unsalted butter, pop it all in my mixing bowl, and I'm just going to give it a quick mix around just to soften it a bit and loosen it up before I start adding my icing sugar. There we go, butter all soft. So I'm just going to add in my icing sugar. I'm going to add it in a couple of batches just so it doesn't fly up everywhere, and just mix it in really slowly. Before I mix it up completely, I'm just going to put a couple of drops of vanilla essence in. Now I'm not measuring this, I'm just doing it by eye. It's just a few drops, just for that little bit of extra flavour. Remember to always use the best quality vanilla you can get. It really makes a difference to your baking. And always go for vanilla extract over vanilla essence, because then you get the actual purest form of vanilla rather than a synthetic flavouring instead. Once it's all come together, I'm just going to turn my speed up a little bit and just mix it up so that it goes a bit lighter and fluffier and lovely and smooth and creamy. And there is my filling all done. It's gone really beautifully pale, like you can see. You can, if you want to, you can add some extra custard powder into here and mix it through. I'm choosing not to on this occasion because as much as I love custard powder, I want it to be something that my whole family will enjoy rather than just two of us. So I'm not making it too custardy, but if you are obsessed with custard, like I would if I were on my own, add custard powder in here as well. It is beautiful. So all that's left now for me to do is to grab a little bit of this and to sandwich my cookies together, my biscuits. So I'm just going to grab one of my biscuits, and on the underside I'm just going to put a really generous layer of some of my beautiful buttercream. Now you can do this like I am doing with a knife. You can pop it in a piping bag and pipe it and you'll get a much neater finish. It just depends on how much time and patience you have and how long you can wait before you get this in your belly. So just spread it out nice and evenly to start with, so you've got it all covered on the bottom, and then you can add more depending on how much of the buttercream filling you want to put in between your biscuits. So I always find that if you put more in the middle and you squish them together, it will spread out to the sides, because the flat sides of the biscuits will spread it out amongst them. So I don't worry too much about getting all the way to the edge. I just do a nice decent pile in the middle. I'm going to grab a wee bit more, because you can never have too much icing. Put a nice big dollop in the middle, just like that. And then grab another biscuit and you're just going to squish them together. And you can see they don't meet at all, but as you squish them, it's gonna go to the edges. And there you have it, homemade custard creams. Absolutely beautiful, lovely and custardy, and just, you can't beat homemade. You can't beat homemade. All that's left now is to dig in. Now I'm going to try and break it. Ooh, and make a mess with it. So you've got your custard and your biscuit in between. Just beautiful. So you can obviously put more filling in or less depending on your tastes and your preferences. But these are beautiful, so much nicer than shop bought. Sorry, not sorry. And there you have it, homemade custard creams. Not as hard as you might think. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Do like it and do let me know in the comments below if you make this yourself and how they turn out for you. Don't forget to check out all my other videos, all my other biscuits and cookies, because those are the things that I actually enjoy making the most. And do come back next time and join me for my next video. Thanks for joining me today. Happy baking, friends.